Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing awesome today. It's Tuesday. It's 1:22 p.m. So we're gonna try to um, bust some taxation myth that I always hear um, since I came here in Canada in 2007. This is the first thing I hear from people. So the myth is people would say, don't work two jobs. If you work two jobs, you will be taxed high. The government will just take your money. The CRA will just take your money, and you ended up paying more tax. Yes, it's true that the more income you have, the more tax you pay, and that's for everyone. But the moment I heard that statement, I feel like there's something wrong with that statement. It's it seems like it's not completely true. There's inaccuracy on that statement. So I started thinking and say, so what you're saying is our tax law created by very smart people in the government, in the legislation, decided to create a law that will penalize, excuse me, will penalize hardworking people who works 2 to 3 jobs with more tax. So they're saying, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a law that if you work 2 jobs, because you're so hardworking, we're going to penalize you and we'll make you pay more tax. So I think I'm not sure if that is a good law if that is the reason behind it, right? So I start digging and try to really understand why it's happening, and it's unfortunate that I do hear this mostly within our Filipino community. Still hear it from other community or from other people too, but mostly from our Filipino community because a lot of Filipino in the Filipino community, we work hard. We're hard workers. So most of us work 2 jobs, 2 to 3 jobs. I used to work 2 jobs 10 years ago. Um, so I start to ask questions and really try to understand why it's happening, why this is an issue. So to explain that, we're gonna set an example. So let's say we have two person who Mr. So we'll say Mr. A and Mr. B. Mr. A earns 100,000 a year, works one job, and say works one job and earns 100,000 a year, while Mr. B works 2 jobs. Job number one, Mr. B is earning 50,000 a year. And job number two, Mr. B is earning again another 50,000 a year, a total of 100,000 a year. So pretty much Mr. A and Mr. B have the same annual income, right? 100,000 a year. So technically, by law, based on our tax law, Mr. A and B will be taxed the same, right? Because they make the same money, 100,000 a year, they will be taxed the same. Mr. B will not be taxed more because he works 2 jobs. So again, that's the myth there. They will be taxed the same. Period. So okay, we're gonna go through the example so that we can pinpoint where the issue is and why it's happening, and also we can create or say the solution so that we can um, prevent this from happening again. So Mr. A, again, 100,000 a year. So in our tax law, there is a basic personal exemption amount, right? I don't know exactly how much is the basic personal exemption amount right now, but for simplicity and so that it's easy to do the math, because my brain right now is not um, optimized for doing math. Um, let's just say the basic personal exemption is 10 grand. Okay. So that's for everybody. And that's, let's say, single, no family, no dependent, and age 25, just an example. Mr. A and Mr. B are single, age 25, no family, no dependents. So, okay, go back to Mr. A. Mr. A, 100,000 a year annual income. So to compute the tax for Mr. A, 100,000 minus the exemption of 10 grand, right? Again, the basic personal exemption. So 100,000 minus 10 grand. Mr. A's taxable income is 90,000, right? That's Mr. A's taxable income. And again, for simplicity, we'll just say tax bracket Mr. A is 20%, tax 20%. Again, we're just trying to simplify this. So we'll just use 20% right away. So 20% of 90,000 is 18,000. So that means Mr. A will pay 18,000 tax for the year. Okay? So remember that 18,000. Of course, Mr. A won't pay that full amount because every payday there is a tax withholding. So the employer will deduct money from your salary that will total at the end of the year, and they remit that to CRA that will total in the year for the whole year for 18,000. So at the end of the year, when you file your return, if your employer is so good or payroll is so good is very accurate in taking the tax withholding, then they should already withhold 18 grand at the end of the year and remit that to CRA. So now let's go to Mr. B. So Mr. B, again, there's two jobs, job one and job two. In job one, Mr. B earns 50 grand. So job one, Mr. B's employer in job one will withhold some tax. And this will be the computation. 50 grand income minus the 10,000 basic personal exemption. That means on Mr. B's job one, taxable income is 40 grand, right? Again, same tax bracket, 20%. So 20% of 40,000 is 8,000. So Mr. B is taxed 8,000 in job number one. Remember that. Now we'll jump to job number two. Job number two, the employer in job number two of Mr. B's will tax Mr. B. Here's the computation: 50 grand income minus the 10,000 basic personal exemption of 10 grand. And I'll explain that later because this is really the issue is here. 50,000 minus 10,000 of the exemption. Now the taxable income for Mr. B in job number two is 40,000. So 40,000, again, tax bracket 20%. 40,000 times 20%, that's 8 grand. So if you total the tax withholding or tax for Mr. B, 8,000 on job number one, 8,000 on job number two, that's a total of 16,000. So remember, as I mentioned, Mr. A and Mr. B will be taxed the same because their income is the same, 100,000 a year, right? But if you notice, Mr. A tax withholding totals to 18,000. While Mr. B tax withholding totals to 16,000. There's a difference of 2,000. And that's the reason why at the end of the year, when Mr. B files his tax, he will have tax owing of 2,000 to CRA. And we're going to explain why that happens, okay? So what happened is Mr. B claimed the basic personal exemption twice. Remember, on job one, the employer deducted the 10,000 basic personal exemption. On job two, another 10,000 basic personal exemption. That means Mr. B claimed 20,000 of basic personal exemption, while Mr. B claimed 10,000 basic personal exemption, which is the right one. So that's why if Mr. B claimed an extra of 10,000, that means 20% of that 2,000, that's the tax owing, right? So that's why Mr. B at the end of the year, when he files his tax, he's not happy. He's gonna be sad because he will learn that he'll be paying 2,000 to the CRA, and he's gonna start talking to people and say, no, you don't do work two jobs, because if you work two jobs, CRA will just get your money, which is, and again, yeah, it's true, but inaccurate. That's not. It's not because you have two jobs, because it's because you claim two per more. You claim 10,000 more in your basic personal exemption. So how do we fix this? If you have two working jobs and at the end of the year you always pay extra to CRA, or owing, not extra, but tax owing to CRA, how do we fix this? So if you work two jobs, what you're gonna do is go to your second job, and then you're gonna resubmit a new TD1 form. So if you notice, every time you start a job, the first thing that they want you to do is to fill up a TD1 form. There's two of them. One is for federal, so I think TD1 is federal, and TD1A, I can't remember, is provincial. So it's really just declaring that, say, hey, this is my personal exemption based on my status, single, no dependents or anything. So as we said, we say 10,000. Again, that's not exactly what is the basic personal exemption right now, but we'll just say 10,000 for simplicity's sake. So what you do is you download the TD1 or ask from your employer and your employer number two. And then when you fill it out, so on the first line, there's always that basic personal exemption, and there's an amount there, 10 grand, right? So when you fill it up, you don't copy that 10 grand at the bottom. Instead, you zero out the bottom part. Sorry, my dog is barking. You zero out the Appa, stop doing that. You zero out at the bottom, so that you're not claiming another 10,000 in your second job, right? Zero it out, and if you want to really be safe, stop it at the back. You can even ask them to deduct more, like say take $20 per payday, right? Just to be safe. I know a lot of people would say, no, why would you do that? Why would you give extra money to the government? And that's a valid argument. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. For me, when I was working two jobs 10 years ago, I did put some extra because I just want to make sure that I don't owe anything from the government at the end of the year. And I always get a refund at the end of the year. And again, valid argument. They say, no, why would you give that extra money when you can put that in a bank and earn interest? Yeah, that, and do it if you can. And that's a valid argument. To me, the reason I don't do that, because, and again, when I save the money, anticipating to pay tax at the end of the year, there's just a lot of temptation, right? You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of will to really stay on your goal, right? To save money, and so you can pay your tax owing at the end of the year. Because if you have that money in your savings account and suddenly your phone looks old, it's very easy. You know what? I'm gonna get a new phone. I'm gonna get the iPhone 17, or my laptop sore because I need a laptop. I have 1 grand in my savings account right now. You know what? I'll just use that because I need my laptop right now, and I'll figure it out about the tax. And at the end of the year, now you're scrambling to find the money, right? So to me, personal choice. Again, there's no right and wrong here. You can choose whatever you want. To me, I'd rather pay there. It's out of my way, and then I'd rather be happy at the end of the year when I say I got a refund for say 500, 1,000 from the CRA. It's like, yes, I got some money at the end of the year. I don't have to stress myself finding money at the end of the year. Um, so yeah, do that. And sometimes you have to do it multiple times, because I remember 10 years ago, I had to submit those forms twice. The first one, I submitted it, and when I checked my payroll the next month, I still didn't get deducted enough tax. So I went back and downloaded again the TD1, both the provincial. Remember, there's two of them, federal and provincial. I zeroed out at the bottom, and then again put extra at the back, like 20 dollars per payday. And then I even wrote a letter to our payroll or HR saying, hey, could you please look closely at my TD1 that I submitted? I zeroed out at the bottom. That means please don't claim any personal exemption, so that you'll be taking the right amount of tax for me, so that I don't have to pay at the end of the year. So, guys, if you are working two jobs and at the end of the year you're always paying something to the government or to CRA, please do this. Again, all you have to do is download TD1. It's available online, both federal and provincial, and then fill it up properly, zero it out at the bottom. And if you want your employer to deduct more, you can, at the back there's an option there that you can check, say I have two employers and I want you to deduct X amount uh, withhold or deducted from my payroll, right? So I hope you learned something today. By the way, disclaimer, I'm not an expert, a tax expert. I'm not a tax accountant. I just, like you guys, just loves to understand anything about personal finance. So I don't know everything. I'm still learning now. So, but if you have any question, send your feedback, send your comment. I'll try to answer to the best of my knowledge. Also, if you're a tax accountant and an expert, and if I said something wrong that's inaccurate, please make a comment, let me know what's wrong, and I welcome everyone's feedback, because, and again, I want to learn more. I just want to make sure that I'm not spreading the wrong information. I know, I know I've been thinking of this video for probably 10 years now. I just didn't have really time and the guts to do this, but I think now is the time. And so there will be more videos about this, about personal finance, about busting some tax myth. And so stay tuned. Again, enjoy your day. See you in the next video. Bye.